Hello everyone! In this video I'm going to continue going over the test 1 practice question solutions, and we're going to go over part 1b. So we're still just reading code, pretending that we're Python, and writing down what exactly is going to print out when the code runs. So in this part we're going to have the user input command, so it looks like this, just input, and then we're going to be also looking at conditional execution with if, else, and possibly elif. So there's going to be some different questions regarding what the user puts in. Okay, so I can have different versions, basically like parts A, B, and C, where we kind of anticipate what will happen if the user enters this particular input. Okay, so I'm going to put my answers like down here after each part. All right, so the little backticks here, that is actually just what makes it look like code format right here when you are in the the viewing version, I guess, of viewing these text blocks, which you can see over here on the right when you're editing. Okay, so for the first run of this code, we're going to assume the user enters dogs, lowercase dogs. So what is Python going to do? First, answer, the variable answer is assigned to be the input. What is your favorite kind of animal? Or sorry, what are your favorite kinds of animals? So in this case, the user is going to enter dogs. So answer is going to become dogs, the string dogs. Remember, when you use the input command here, it always comes in, whatever they type comes in as a string. So no matter whether they type numbers or letters or whatever, this will be a string unless you convert it to be something else. So answer is going to be the string dogs. So down here, we're then checking if dog is in that answer that the user had given us. And remember, it's case sensitive. So is lowercase dog in their answer? Yes, it's the first 3 letters, so it is in there. So in that case, Python is going to print I like, comma, answer, comma, 2. So remember, when you print multiple things with commas between them, they're all going to print out on the same line, and that's going to put a space between those things that are printing out. Okay, so what's actually going to print out here is going to be, maybe I'll just like type it like this is the answer. But I don't want to have it, why is it putting it in a block like that? Okay, well, all right, let's see what we do here. I might have to like pause this and figure out how the formatting in Jupyter Notebooks works. Hold on a sec. Okay, so Jupyter Notebook formatting is like a little bit mysterious to me. When I had the answer indented like this, the word answer, it was like putting it in this block over here. I don't know why. But the only thing that is actually going to print out is this phrase right here, I like dogs too. So the first part, I like, comes from this part of the print command. And then we have the space because we put the comma before the next part. The answer is the answer that the user gave us, which is dogs. And then we have another space because of the comma. And then we have TOO period, and that's it. Okay, and why is it, it's being weird about my backticks. Strange. Okay, so this is what is going to print out. I'll argue with Jupyter Notebooks later, I guess, when I'm not recording a video. All right, so now let's think about running this program again. And what if the user enters capital DOGS? Okay, so what's going to happen? Answer becomes capital DOGS. Now, when we go to check if lowercase dog is in the answer, it is not in there. So this Boolean expression right here is going to be false. So when it's false, that means we skip over this code here. And we come down to the else block and we do whatever is in the else block. All right, so what's going to print out is down here. So it's going to say, I think, space, capital DOGS, space, are the worst. Okay, so it's going to look like this. I think capital DOGS are the worst. So I guess I'm kind of trying to like trick you here a little bit. It looks like you made a program where you just agree with people that dogs are awesome, but sometimes if they capitalize differently, you end up saying that dogs are the worst. Okay, and let's do the last one. So in this one, the user enters not space dogs. So answer is going to be that whole string, not dogs. And then we're going to check if dog is in answer. So dog is in the answer, lowercase dog is in there. Okay, so we're going to do the if block right here. It's going to print I like not dogs too. Great, so the answer is going to be I like space not dogs space too. So it doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. Python doesn't even speak English. Like, it's just going to print out the things that you told it to print out. Okay, so whatever was here, and then whatever the answer was, and then whatever was here, it's going to print that out regardless of whether it makes sense or is grammatical. So I like not dogs too. All right, so that is that question. Let's look at the next one. It's a little more complicated because it has some elifs. So what will print when the code above is run if the user enters the following for the input? So we have 5 different inputs to check here. So the first thing that's happening in this program always is we're asking the user, how old are you? And then we are converting their input into a float. So floating point decimal number. So the first time this runs, we're entering 25. Okay, so let's think about what is the answer in this case. Oh, I need one more. Yeah. Okay, so if the user enters 25, that's being converted to a float, so it is a number. So we can make this comparison here and check if that age that they entered is greater than or equal to 21. Okay, so is 25 greater than or equal to 21? Yes, it is. So this will be true. So we're going to go ahead and execute this line here, print you can drink. Okay, so that's going to print out you can drink. There's no period. Now what about these other parts here? Remember, elif stands for else if. So that else part is not going to happen. None of these elifs are going to happen. This else at the bottom is not going to happen either. So as soon as you execute one of these blocks, as soon as you find one of these conditions that's true, you're not going to do these other ones. All right, so the rest of this just all gets skipped over. Okay, so let's do the next one. So in the next one, age is going to be 20. Okay, so 20 will be what the user puts for the input. That gets converted to a float, and that's stored under the word or under the variable name age. Okay. So now when Python comes to the if here, it checks whether 20 is greater than or equal to 21. So that is going to be false. So then it's not going to do this code here. It skips to the next elif here, and it checks this one. So is 20 greater than or equal to 18? Yes, so that will be true. So Python's going to go ahead and do this print command. You can vote. No period. And then it's going to skip over the rest of these. So as soon as it finds one of these blocks that it can do, it's not going to do any of the other ones after that. All right, so that's it for that one. For the next one, 15, let's see about this one. Are you going to let me edit? Okay, there we go. Okay, so for 15, so 15 is not greater than or equal to 21, so we're going to skip this. 15 is not greater than or equal to 18, so we're going to skip this. It's also not greater than or equal to 16, so we're going to skip this. So we get to the very last one. The very last block here is what happens if all of the conditions before were false. So we are going to do the last one, which is print wait a bit. Okay. All right, the next one is 14.5. So 14.5 is going to pretty much be the same as the one for 15. We're going to skip over all 3 of these conditions, and we're going to do wait a bit. Okay, and then the very last one, 12 TWELVE. So what's going to happen with this one is when you try to convert it to a float, do you guys see what's going to happen? You're actually going to get an error because, again, Python does not speak English. Python only speaks Python. Okay, it doesn't know that 12 is supposed to be a number. So this one, you're going to get an error. So for your answer, you can just write error. All right, and you can go ahead and test this code yourself by entering these and see what happens. So 25 should print you can drink. Yep. 20 should print you can vote. Yep. 15 and 14.5 should both print wait a bit. Yep. And then the last one, TWELV. Yeah, has an error. Okay. And you can see the error came from right here. All right, so let's look at the next one here. So this is converting temperatures between Fahrenheit and Celsius. So we're asking the user 2 questions. First, we ask them to enter a number of degrees, and then we're converting that to a float. So hopefully they don't enter any text. And then we are asking them to enter either F for Fahrenheit or C for Celsius, and hopefully they capitalize it correctly because that's what we've asked them to do. So then so temp is where the number is being stored for the temperature, and then scale is the name of the variable that's storing either the F or the C. So if scale is equal to F, we do one thing. Otherwise, if scale is equal to C, we do something else. And then otherwise, if neither of those are what we got, we tell them to try again because they entered it wrong, basically. Okay, so let's see what will happen when the code above is run if the user enters the following for the input. So first 32 and then F. Okay, so if they do that, 32 and then capital F, so temp is going to be 32 or 32.0 since it's a float. Scale is going to be capital F. So we're going to come here, we're going to check if scale is equal to capital F, and it is. So that's true, then we're going to do this code that's in here. Okay, so first we're going to calculate the value of C. So this is the conversion equation for making a Celsius temperature. So we entered 32 for the temp. So the parentheses part here will go first. We'll do 32 minus 32, that's 0. Now it doesn't matter what you multiply by 0, that's going to be still 0. So C is going to be 0. And it's important that we know that because that's what's going to print out down here. So first we're going to print temp, still 32. And then we're going to print degrees F is. We're going to put a space between the 32 and the degrees F is. Then another space. And then the 0 that we got for C. And then another space. And then degrees C. Okay, so you guys can see like what the purpose of this was to convert temperatures. So it's actually going to print out 32.0 for temp since it was a float. I don't know how much I would take off if you guys missed that. Probably not much. Okay, just like this. 32.0 degrees F is 0 degrees C. Let's go ahead and run this and actually check. So 32 and then F. Yep, right here. Okay, let's try again with 100 for the temperature and then C for the scale. Okay, so if we put in 100 for temp, it's going to be a float, so it'll be 100.0. And then scale is going to be the, let's see, was it capitalized? Yes, capital C. Okay, so then Python is going to check, is scale equal to capital F? It is not, so that'll be false. So it's going to come down here, skip over the code in the if block, come down to the elif, check is scale equal to capital C. So for this next one, yes, it is equal to capital C. So now we're going to do the Fahrenheit conversion equation. So we put in 100 for the temp. So this is going to be 9/5 or 9 divided by 5 times the temp. You might, I guess, need a little like calculator to do that. But let's see, 9/5 times 100. So if I do 1/5 times 100, that would be 20, right? And then if I multiply that by 9, 20 times 9, 180. And then if I add 32 to 180, 212, I think. So that'll be 212, and it will be a float because temp was a float. So it'll be like 212.0. And then we're going to print out a similar sentence to the last question, but it's going to be reversing the C and the F part because we were converting in the other direction. Okay, so this is going to say temp, so it's 100.0, space, degrees, C is space, and then the value we got for F, which was 212.0, and then space, oh, I just realized I forgot to do the 0.0 part on this 0 up here. Yeah, that should have also been, because it was being calculated from a float, you'll end up getting a float. And then degrees F. Okay, and then once we've done that code block there, once you do one code block from an if, elif, else, you skip over all the rest of it. You don't check the rest of them. Okay, so let's go ahead and, why is this giving me some kind of, why does it look weird? Too many? Ah, Jupyter Notebooks is really mysterious, you guys. I don't know why it gets formatted differently sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to try entering 100. Let's see. Yeah, so 100.0 degrees is 212.0 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so for the very last one, we mess up when we enter little f and lowercase f instead of capital F. Then what's going to happen? So scale is lowercase f. Then this part's going to be false. This part's going to be false. So we're going to end up doing the else block. Okay, so the only thing that's going to be printed is this, please try again. Oops. Okay, so answer, Please try again. Was there a period? No period. Okay, so let's try actually entering that one. Make sure. 212, lowercase f. Yep, please try again. So if you were designing this system, of course, you should like let them put in lowercase ones if they want to, and kind of anticipate that the user might do things wrong. But the way it is currently written, if you were Python and you were running this, this is what will happen. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here and we'll resume in the next video with the next part.